It's Friday, September 22nd. I'm Geoff Schwartz. This is Geoff Schwartz of Smart, and you are live on Twitter, on YouTube, and we're on your favorite podcast platform of choice. We're brought to you by the VLTED app, the home, my season-long game, giving out $14,000 of cash prizes in my pools with $5,000 allotted to my final pool of the season, which will be the day of the big game. That's VLTED, spelled VLTED. It's a place where you can store your sports predictions, participate in cash prize pools without any entry fees, and prove you're smarter than your friends and me by using the VLTED Challenge feature. I will have my own pool in VLTED each week. We can answer questions to win cash prizes. There are no entry fees to participate. Last weekend's winner, Sam Curtis, won $400. All you got to do, no entry fees, win money, win the pool. This football season, VLTED will be handing out all those prizes I mentioned. And the only way to qualify for my big game pool is to beat me in one of our regular season pools, which Matt right now shouldn't be very hard because I've done terribly. I've enjoyed doing them, but I've sucked. So join, beat me. Not very hard right now. I'll also be using VLTED to make and store my 5 favorite predictions of the week, which we'll get to at the end of today's show. Go download VLTED. That's VLTED. Remember to use my code Geoff. That's GEOFF. And you can see my predictions, play along, and join my pool for the week. Matthew, buddy, how are you?
Jeffrey, I'm well, buddy. How are you doing? You've got your Oregon shirt on. Is there a big Oregon game this weekend? I haven't heard anything about it.
Just a little bit, but we're going to lose though. I mean, because of vibes. That's the only reason. Vibes. Vibes are good at Colorado, and we're going to lose because of that. I mean, look, man, we can get into this if we want right now or at some point. This is an NFL preview show. Oregon's going to win the game. They're better. Like, I don't understand. Here's the thing about this game. Okay, is I was wrong about Colorado. You were wrong about Colorado, I think. But we had 3 games now. So what we said in the preseason is now over. We can look at the team as they are now, Matt. Not what they were before the season, as they are now. They scored 45 points in week 1, 36 in week 2, and only 21 in regulation on offense, right? They scored a pick 6 against Colorado State. They've slowly gotten kind of back to where I thought they might be to start the season. They can't rush the ball. They give up the most sacks in the country. They have the most pre-snap penalties in the country. Oregon's better in the trenches. They're better on defense. They're better on offense. Like, to me, this is a 21-point spread because it should be a 21-point spread. Week 1, they got that wrong, right? They were a 24-point favorite last weekend. They're now a 21-point dog. Like, they were overvalued, I think, last weekend and undervalued in week 1. This feels about right this weekend. And unless Oregon turns the ball over, which they have not done all season, and they have too many dumb penalties, which they've had so far this season, it's not that complicated to me. Like, Oregon's the better football team. Shadur Sanders is great. Don't get me wrong. Bo Nix is also completing 78% of his passes, or 79 or 80%, like somewhere close to that. Like, people act like Oregon is a schmuck team that doesn't deserve to be a 21-point favorite. They're a real football team with a real defensive line, with real secondary. Like, to me, this is not that hard to handicap. Now, do they cover 21? I don't know, Matt. I'm not betting on the game myself. But 3 touchdowns is about the margin I would expect this game to be. Disappointed if Oregon wasn't able to do it that way.
Yeah. Well, you're dodging a little bit of a bullet without Travis Hunter, right? Like,
Yes.
I think that if he was out there, then this whole thing would feel a little bit different. It's a shame. I mean, the public, 65% of the tickets are on Colorado, only 28% of the money. And I read this morning that of the money line bets on this game, 99% of them are on Colorado. I mean, this is like a borderline phenomenon. Like this, and one of these weeks, the public is just going to get crushed. And
last week, because everyone took Colorado last weekend, and Colorado State covered.
True. I mean, I think that's true of the NFL also. Like this feels like the week where everyone's going to get just their asses handed to them because it's just been a little bit too easy so far. Even last night, all the smart guys, a lot of people that, we look to for guidance on these picks, they all love the Giants. They got steamrolled. It's like everything has looked just a little too easy. And maybe it's this week. It's always either week 2, 3, or 4 where everyone just gets wiped out. And it could be this week. Hopefully it doesn't happen to your Ducks, but hey man, I'm just staying out of Deion's way for a while. Like, let's just see this fall apart. I'm just going to enjoy it while it lasts.
I'm going to try it while it lasts too. No matter what happens this weekend, Deion's done a fantastic job. Like that's not, if they lose this weekend, they play USC next weekend and they lose there. They're 3-2. They've done a great job. We did not do a good job last weekend, Matt. We were 1-3-1 in our picks for last weekend. We did get a kind of a bad line with the Packers, who would have covered with the closing line, but we got +1. They pushed there, lost by 1 to the Falcons. We're 4-5-1 this season. We started worse season. We started worse, I think. So
it's like our best start ever.
Yeah, and there were some wagers I think we liked that we didn't pull the trigger on. As you mentioned this week, there are going to be some, I think, that we're going to have to take that we don't like, but I think we're on the kind of the right side on this. We'll find out, obviously, as we get to this weekend. As I mentioned earlier, at the end of the show, we'll go over my favorite vaulted pool questions. We'll maybe mix them in as we go throughout the show as well. Some of them are the line, some of them are props and numbers that I like for this weekend. All right, Matt, let's start off with the first game. We'll go through all the games. We might not hit on your favorite game if it's a stinker. We don't want to talk about it because we do like to keep this pretty crisp. So let's go with the first game. Oh boy. Lead us off.
Yeah. A game of Russian roulette. Who do you like between the Chargers and the Vikings? This is in Minnesota. The Vikings opened up as home dogs and have been bet back to now it's just a straight pick. Two teams that are 0-2 and feel like if they don't win this week, something big is going to happen on both sides. Where are you here?
I would only bet on Minnesota here if I was to choose a choice in this game. I'm not backing Brandon Staley on the road, just not doing that, Chargers head coach. The Vikings have a little unlucky with turnovers, right? They've had a ton of turnover, especially in the first half of games. They're at home. They have a little bit of a rest, right? They're off a long rest because they play Thursday Night Football. Chargers back on the road. I just don't trust the Chargers ever. I don't really trust them ever. We should have been on the Titans last weekend. We knew better. We didn't do it. And I'd be at Minnesota here. It could be one of my 5. I don't know if I like it that much, Matt, but I certainly think Minnesota is the play here.
I would take Minnesota also. I think the Chargers, I think the Eckler injury has been it hasn't been discussed enough. Their offense, they obviously can put up a lot of points, but they weren't really able to run the ball. They weren't able to really control the clock. I mean, obviously the Titans have a better run D than Minnesota. This line has just kept moving. I mean, this opened with, I mentioned that the Vikings opened as home dogs. It's actually getting to 1 in some places now. And the bets are a little split. The public seems to be on the Chargers, but the money keeps pouring in on Minnesota. I look, this is kind of I think I said Russian roulette earlier. It kind of is. Like this team, like somebody's going to this game is not going to end because someone had like a convincing, sound, crisp victory. This game is going to end with someone shitting their pants, right? Like that's how this game is going to go. Yes. And I think we're just kind of hoping. I mean, you look across, I just feel like Minnesota is just better across the board. Like the Chargers defenses just look completely terrible. I do think Minnesota, like, they played the Eagles last week. They kept that game close when that game was completely out of hand, where the Chargers don't seem to have that extra gear in them. I would put Minnesota in the maybe list. Yeah. I hope that we can knock it out, but I don't think we can, having looked at all of these. And
the Chargers defense is terrible. Like they're not been good. Minnesota can move the ball. Like I think they're gonna be okay here.
I think so too. Yeah, this is not going to be a defensive showcase.
Yeah,
for either side.
All right, what do we got next here?
Next up, a line that I feel like I'm taking crazy pills at this point. The Titans are 3.5 point dogs to Cleveland on the road. Cleveland, obviously, without Nick Chubb, the only sort of successful piece of their offense so far this season. The Browns are laying 3.5. Vegas loves the Browns. Everyone loves the Browns. But Mike Vrabel's, one of the best underdog coaches of all time. Yeah. I'm sure that this is what our producers of this show have a pool. They think they knew what we were going to pick. I am positive they think that I was going to be on Tennessee. I would say that they're right. I know I'm wrong. Like, I know that this line is staying at 3.5, despite it being a public dog for a reason, but I just don't see what the case is for Cleveland here.
Well, the case for Cleveland is their defense is really good and the Titans can't score, right? Like that, like they can't score on the Browns. And this is an ugly game that the Browns win, 17-13, right? 17-10, 20-10, something like that, right? Like that's the case for the Browns here. And also, too, the overreaction of last weekend, right? So I think this line opened 4.5. Tennessee beats the Chargers. the Browns lose a game where they gave up 2 defensive scores, right? The Steelers had like negative 14 yards in the fourth quarter and won the game. I think it's a little bit over. So like, if you like the Browns here, you're actually getting a good number because it was at 4.5. So I think the Browns are the play. I don't feel like comfortable doing it because I hate betting against Tennessee. It's one of the teams where when you bet against, you're like, oh, I made a bad mistake betting against them. But I do think the Browns. I think that in these situations when the number is 3.5 and you think to yourself, why did Vegas make it like this? There typically is a reason for that. And that's when you take the other team. Like you don't take Tennessee, you take the Browns, right? In this situation. But I don't know if it's a maybe for me, but I would take the Browns here just for those reasons.
All right. Well, it seems like we're on other sides because I just don't like what I see.
But you don't seem sold on Tennessee though.
I mean, no, but like it's just a situation. Like I don't think that I mean, yeah, Cleveland's defense is good, but so's Tennessee's. Tennessee's defense has been great. I mean, every time I've seen Deshaun Watson throw a pass this year, I've been like, this guy is not even a top 18 quarterback at this point.
Yeah.
And Cooper's banged up. Chubb, we mentioned, is out. Like the foundation of this offense for years has just been like, can they run the ball well? And Tennessee's just a tough team. They're incredible at stopping the run. Their secondary is healthy for now. Like I think that it's a close game, and getting that little hook is just so strange to me. It's like, what has Cleveland done to warrant that little hook? I get you're right. I know that I'm like the public dog here. I can't get behind Cleveland like 3.5. If it was 3, maybe, but I don't know. Just seems like picking against Vrabel in this spot like never goes well.
It stinks.
Yeah, it stinks. Did you see? I thought one of the best takes I saw this week was Mina's take on Deshaun Watson. Did you see this one where she was basically just like, what a gift to the sports media world that he sucks. Like that we don't have to like do contortions. We can just be like, yeah, this guy's not only bad at football, but he's bad as a person. Like no one's like, it seems like no one's really like trying to defend him in any way. It's kind of nice.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. Nice. So maybe I still have a block on the Browns in general, but they're less healthy. They stink. Yeah. Speaking of stink, the Houston Texans are going to Jacksonville.
Oh.
The Jaguars are laying 9, 8.5, maybe. God, man, I talked you into Texans last week. I'm not rushing to do that again this week. It was just not a fun experience.
Trevor Lawrence is 0-4 against the spread as a home favorite. It hasn't happened very often. Worth pointing out here. They've only scored 20 points so far this season, per game. They haven't looked quite right in offense. Maybe playing a Texans team can get you back on the right track here. One thing worth noting is that the Houston Texans injury report, if Laramie Tunsil's out again, their left tackle, they're down, I believe. Let me see. Darius Stingley did not practice on Thursday, and Laramie Tunsil limited practice, so maybe he does play. I don't know. I don't have an opinion on this game. I think I would just public Joe and take Jacksonville minus the 9. Every sharp person is going to have the Texans plus 9 because 9's a lot of points the NFL would take. I don't have much of an opinion on this game, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, the play would definitely be Houston. I do think that the Jags, this is almost like a buy low on the Jags based on, honestly, a bit of bad luck last week. Like they were
9
like
points is a lot.
It is, and I'm not saying I want to do it. If anything, I would be on Houston. I just thought that last week, like the Jags, they were a second toe tap away 4 times from that game feeling really close and everyone feeling really different about the Jags offense. The Chiefs played a really good game. I just think, I don't know. The Jags don't look completely right. This could be a get right spot, but you would just take the winless divisional dog plus 9 if you made a play here. But I feel like we've kind of been sneaky in on Houston every week. I will say, I felt like I was the only person before the draft who actually liked Stroud. And I feel kind of vindicated. Like he's looked really good. No picks yet. He's, I think, 4th in the league in yardage. Like he's he's played well, and he's turned Nico Collins and Tank Dell into like a decent receiving core.
Yeah.
So I like him. I don't know if
I think
I'm not going to push for them
be
plus
good.
9, but
I think it'll be
yeah,
good.
he's been the best of the rookies by far. All right, I have a feeling we're going to probably agree on this one. The Patriots are laying 2.5 to the Jets, the winless Patriots who own the Jets. Interesting line. I'm curious what side you're on here.
What are we going to agree upon? The under, which I've already taken, 37. I mean, if you say the Jets, the show's over. So I hope you don't say the Jets.
No.
Okay, New England. Zach Wilson has played the Patriots 4 times. He's 0-4. He scored, I think, 3, 16, 17, and 6, something like that. He's completed 50% of passes. The thing about it is the Patriots offense stinks, Matt. Like, man, we're going to have to be there and be like, okay, they won 6-3. We covered the spread. You know what I mean? Like,
it's very possible.
That's the problem with New England here. But New England is under 3. It certainly is the play over the Jets.
Yeah. So the Patriots without Brady are 5-1 against the spread against the Jets and 19-27-1 against the rest of the NFL. Max Better is a favorite. Jets are 1-17 straight up against the Pats in their last 18. Wow. This is the Patriots get right spot if there ever was one. I still think the Jets are drafting off of that week 1 ridiculous win.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I do feel like the Patriots, like this is essentially a money line play. And I just feel like, we were in on Belichick and the Patriots over 7.5 at the beginning of the year. If we completely are throwing that bet out, fine. But if they're going to have any chance of touching that, if we believe in the Patriots at all, they win this game.
I'm with you. I agree with all of that. I just, watching this game is going to give me a heart attack. You're going to get that text at 1:05 Eastern after the Patriots do something dumb. Like, we are idiots for making this wager. We should sell access to our text message thread on Sunday. It would be hilarious. All right, I'm good. Yeah, let's put New England.
They would call it only regrets.
Yeah, I know, right? But let's put New England in the maybes. The next game is pretty interesting. You might have to convince me to not take the Packers here. I don't know.
Interesting. All right. Well, I didn't really have a feel for this one. The Saints are visiting Green Bay. The Packers are laying 2. This is 2 like really confusing teams to me because on one hand, Green Bay's looked, I think, better than people expected. The Saints, everyone's like, oh, great. Well, they're division-winning Saints. Like, they're going to roll through everybody. I'm curious what you think here because a lot of, the Saints defense, this is probably their strongest test thus far and one of their strongest tests of the season somehow. So I'm curious what side you're on.
I mean, the Saints are 2-0. They beat the Titans by 1, 16-15. And beat the Carolina Panthers, who stink 2017. Like, they're not. Yeah. Are they like Derek Carr on the road now? Like, in Green Bay? That's what we're going to convince ourselves with. Like that's what that is like. We're again. Packers are just favored by 2. If the Packers get Aaron Jones back, which I believe has been practicing this week, Bakhtiari has not practiced yet. Christian Watson did not practice today, but practiced a little bit Wednesday. These are all yesterday. Did not practice yesterday. Practice Wednesday. Bakhtiari has not played. Practice this week. How is the Saints are going to win this game by 3 points? Is that what you're telling me? They're going to be 3-0 with Derek Carr and scoring 36 points in 2 games.
It's pretty interesting. I mean, the Panthers game was not as close as it ended. I'll say that. I mean, they basically got backdoored, but I do think. I mean, everyone loves the Saints defense, and like to your point, they played Tennessee and then they played Carolina, and neither of them have been super impressive. I agree that Aaron Jones coming back is huge. He did practice yesterday. LaFleur is an underdog, 15-5 against the spread. Jordan Love has never not covered as a starter. That's kind of interesting. It's only 3 games.
Well, it depends what number you got last week.
True. Yeah, I mean, I didn't really consider this one. Carr on the road, you're right, but like the Saints, and this is like the week before Kamara comes back and the Saints offense is about to hopefully get better. Yeah. I didn't really consider this. I think
Well, we'll put the
I don't know.
maybes. I mean, maybe.
It's funny. I still don't totally feel like I have a feel for Green Bay. Like they came out and crushed the Bears, and last
They're
week
up 20. They were,
it was just
they're up
ugly.
20. They're up 24-12 in the fourth quarter and lost. They're playing well until that point. So
yeah,
we'll put the maybes.
Worst version of the same team. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Like,
it's a maybe.
Traveling outdoors, after physical last week. Yeah, all right. God, I don't know if I'm willing to do this, but we do have to have the discussion.
Yes.
Russell Wilson and the Broncos are going to Miami. The Dolphins are laying 6.5.
Are we going to say like Sunday? We should have done this because this is the NFL works in a way where the Broncos win this game. Like we know that. Like that's the NFL. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but like that is what the NFL is. Can I stop? Oh boy, Matt, I just don't. I don't think I can do it.
If we were to take the Broncos, like this kind of bet just wins most of the time.
Not
all the time.
I know.
I don't want to do it either. I think we have to put it in our list of maybes. I mean, honestly, like the Dolphins. Here's my theory on this week. Like you look at this game, you look at the Jags, you look at the next game. We'll talk about Buffalo, the Ravens, the Chiefs and Cowboys don't feel like they're really in danger. But like some of these, the Eagles and the Bucks, like one of these like marquee teams is gonna get surprised. And Denver, like their whole season's on the line. I will say their secondary is I thought it got eviscerated by my guy Sam Howell last week. I was not impressed with their defense. They're a little bit banged up. They're going to have a tough time with this Miami offense. But Miami's been playing out of their mind for 2 straight weeks. Like maybe that's what they are. But I do feel like the Broncos will at least make this a game. They're not going to go out there and just completely fold because their season is 100% on the line. 22% of the bets on Denver, 63% of the money. So this is like the sharp play of the week. Peyton's great as an underdog, the second best.
You're right. You're right. No, all the things you said are absolutely right. I don't like it.
Just sucks. No, I don't like it either. And we were out on the Dolphins against New England, right? And they ended up covering a pretty big spread at home.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the next game because I'm kind of curious about your thoughts here.
Yeah, the Bills. 6.5-point favorites in Washington. Do you have a thought here before I say my piece?
Out of the 20 vaulted pool questions we have, go to Vaulted, use the app, VLTED, use promo code Geoff, that's Geoff with a G. 4 questions, 4 predictions from this game are in the pool. So one of these we'll cover at the end of the show. Stay tuned for that. So this game is big for us and for the vaulted pool. The only play is the Commanders here plus 6.5, but you can make the case that Washington should have won last weekend and shouldn't have won against Arizona. And we know Buffalo, when they win by a lot for the most part, right? Matt, we talk about this all the time. Like they either blow a team out or lose. However, this is a game they would lose. So I don't feel great about any side you have a take.
Yeah, well, they don't need to lose, right? They just need to win by less than 7. And I think if you were to draw up a team that's kind of a nightmare for Buffalo, it's a team that can rush the passer super well and creates a lot of turnovers because that is how you beat Josh Allen, right? Like Washington's defense, they gave up a lot of points, but they've created a lot of turnovers. They've been very opportunistic. And they put up a lot of points. Like the Buffalo defense, great. They shellacked the Raiders last week at home. They have to go on the road now with a crowd that is very reinvigorated. And I think that this is a tough matchup for Buffalo. And I think that, this is Washington's flying pretty high. They're going to show up for this one. Buffalo, they still can't run the ball. They've got a great passing attack with Diggs, but Washington's secondary has been good. And I do feel like Washington can turn them over, and that's how you beat them. And I feel like even if it's getting out of hand, like last week, it was 21-3. for Denver and at home, and Washington came storming back. Like, they're a team that runs through the tape. So I think this is probably the last time you get them, getting this many points. They do play Philly the week after.
Yeah.
And Buffalo has looked pretty shaky. I mean, they looked great. They looked good against the Raiders at home, like flying across the country in the early window. Let's see if they can do it on the road.
I'll put in the maybes, man. I mean, I'm not against a home dog, especially when probably all the money is on Buffalo in this situation.
Yeah, everybody's on Buffalo.
It's on a maybe list. We've got 5 maybes so far, but I think it's good because I think a lot of these other games later are going to be just especially this next game. I want no part of this next game.
Yeah, me neither. It'll be an interesting one. We're going to learn something from this one. Atlanta is going to Detroit, 2 dome teams. The Lions are laying, I think they're still laying 3. I'll double check that.
They are, yeah.
But this one's been kind of steady this week because I don't feel like anyone really has a feel for this one.
Yeah, no one has a feel for it because the Lions were crowned the champions of the NFL after they beat the Chiefs by a couple points when the Chiefs dropped 18 passes, and they got not shellacked by Seattle, but they allowed 37 points last weekend. And the Falcons thing, dude, is just like I don't get it. Just they beat the Panthers, great, and last weekend they beat the Packers. They played much better offensively. They did in that game. They rushed for 211 yards. I think I would just if you were asking for my pick on this game, would be the Falcons plus the points. I feel like, but not enough where I really feel like any way is the right way here.
Yeah. The only, I think the reason this opened at 4.5 or 5 even, I think for Detroit, because of that inflation that everyone's given them because of the Chiefs. Detroit's banged up, really banged up, and from everywhere from like the skill positions to the secondary, like they're in the mash unit already. I do feel like this is a tough matchup for their defense going against such a physical team. And that's such a unique team, and how we've talked about this before with Atlanta. But I don't like it enough to take Desmond Ridder on the road in any scenario. But I do think the Falcons would be my play here. I kind of wish this number, this was like 3.5, 4.5, like it was a few days ago. I could probably talk you into it, but at 3, I think it's a pass.
I'm agreeing with you because the next game, are we going to spend any seconds on this game?
The next game. Any seconds on the Colts and the Ravens. The Ravens were 7.5 point favorites. I know that Richardson got ruled out this morning, so let's see if that line moved. Maybe you've seen it if I'm still looking.
I have not
it's
seen
now
it.
8.5. Is it crazy to think that there might be a little better with Minshew? Like,
so Gardner Minshew has won one of his last 11 starts and lost 8 consecutive starts as an underdog. Yeah. No, I would just stay far away from this game.
Yeah.
Baltimore looks pretty good so far. I think I'm going to look up our wagers we had for this year. They're looking pretty good so far. We had Ravens. Did Ravens to make the playoffs? I don't know if we did.
I feel like we were lukewarm on them because we were in on Cincy, and that whole division has really underwhelmed. Like everyone thought that was going to be the best division, and
we had Steelers over 8.5.
Really gone well for anyone then.
So I just don't. I don't have a thought for this game. Look. Some of these games we're going to have, and I've done this in my. I took a teaser, right? Like a Ravens. I think I took a Ravens, Jaguars. I don't even know, Seahawks teaser. I think I did already. I took the Ravens in a money line parlay. I mean, just that's how you play this game, right? You just put them in a money line parlay, put them in a teaser, and just put it as one of your legs.
Yeah. Man, they're just like this Colts team. It's like, how do you bet on a team with this unknown of a quarterback and this bad of an offense? It's like one of these big teams is going to fall. I have some weird feeling about this game. It's not going to happen, but I do feel like 8.5. You can't really take Baltimore, but there's no chance we're taking the Colts. No way.
You can't.
Speaking of backup quarterbacks, Andy Dalton's Panthers are headed to Seattle. This line has moved all arounds as well. It was 6. I wonder if it's moved since. me see where we're at currently. 5.5. Interesting.
5.5.
It got a boost for Carolina with Bryce Young rolled out. That is brutal. This poor kid. He's impressed no one so far. Oof.
Nothing. I mean, what do you? Not saying Carolina here. I mean, I think the only play was Seattle, I guess. But Seattle is out their tackle still, I think, right? Like, I don't know, man. The Panthers don't seem very good, but part of that is Bryce Young hasn't played well. He's played okay. I guess not okay is the right word to use. I have no thought on this game whatsoever.
I don't either. I'm tempted on Seattle with the 5.5, but yeah, everyone likes the Panthers. That's moved the line it's so hard with these backup quarterbacks we haven't seen.
I'd much rather take Seattle.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we got other games to talk about. If we don't feel great about it, let's move it on. This game's not very exciting. The next game, though. I
do like some more of them.
You do like what?
Uh-oh. There are other games I like. This next game is...
Please.
I'm nervous. No. I'm nervous that you're going to like this one.
No,
the Cardinals are... okay, good. 12.5 point home dogs to Dallas. I feel like if there's one team that loves to boat race bad teams... It's Dallas. Like, this is where they shine. But you obviously can't take them because the Cardinals, to their credit, have looked competitive in each of their two games.
No. The way to play this game is take Josh Dobbs under passing. That's what I've been doing every week. But that's the wager to make. And just don't expect him to throw for a lot of yards in this game. I know Trevon Diggs is out. I get that. I think the Cowboys' defense line should control the line of scrimmage in this game. Again, this is just put the Cowboys in a money line parlay for the weekend. That's what you do here.
Yeah. It's interesting because this is a teaser number, right? Like, this is the number that people are going to tease this down to 6.5, and it hasn't moved. And I just feel like this feels so weird to me. 12.5 is like not a number. Like, that's just not like they're only doing this so they can kill people in teasers.
Yes.
And so they think the Cardinals, this is going to be a 1-score game. Like, if Vegas is saying that, I feel like we should listen. But like, it's like, how can you bet against Josh Dobbs against this Cowboys defense, especially when we talked about this? Like, Dak loves to just run up the score, and that offense loves to pad their stats. It's just classic Cowboys.
Do you ever do those like 13-point teasers, 16-point teasers?
The Nick Weiner special? No, I haven't really done a lot of those. They're a little too exotic for my blood, but this could be a good candidate for that, right?
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Speaking of candidates for that, how about your Kansas City Chiefs laying a baker's dozen to the Chicago Bears, who I think have wrested the crown of worst organization. Congrats, Bears fans! It's yours now. We took care of it for a decade and a half or so. The Colts made a run at it, but I think you've officially got it.
Arizona's in the running too, by the way. Arizona's up there too. So I looked this. I had someone help.
Cardinals fan, I think.
I had someone help me out here. Mahomes as a double-digit favorite at home. Regular season and playoffs is 10-9 against the spread. I actually thought it would be like 5-19. I didn't think it was anywhere close to this. So it's actually not profitable, but above 50%. We're not taking the Kansas City. Right? I'm not making the case for this. Let's talk about Justin Fields for a few minutes. So Justin Fields went out in front of the media this week and didn't really blame his coaches. I know it came off as that way, but saying I'm being overloaded with too much information. And part of that is I think they're telling him who to throw the ball to sometimes in the walkie-talkie, which is, by the way, how some teams have done it. Jared Goff with the Rams. Sean McVay was just telling him what to do. We know that. Like we talked about all the time, he would he cuts off at 15 seconds on the play clock. So they can talk to 15 seconds left, cuts off, but maybe they're telling him what to do, what not to do. My take on this is very simple. Is the Bears are trying to not have an offense that functions through Justin Fields' legs, right? They're trying to find a traditional, quote unquote, pro style offense, right? Like a more traditional, we're going to be in the pocket. Yes, you can still run the football. Yes, we'll have some design runs, but for the most part, let's try to run a more traditional operation in the NFL. The problem is they suck at designing an offense. The offense sucks. Like, the offense is not called well. The wide receivers don't know what they're doing. Fields has taken more sacks, I think, in the last 2 years than Mahomes has, like, his whole career. Like, there's some wild number like that, Matt. It's not working. Now, is it because they're overloading him? I don't know. I would agree with the Bears' assessment of we have to run a different offense than we ran last year. They can go back and say, well, let's run the Justin Fields offense. But that's not an offense that wins you Super Bowls. Again, guys, the goal of this whole thing is to win a championship, right? The Ravens, who have been close, said, you know what? Screw that offense. We're going to Todd Monken's offense, right? Like, they understood that too. So if the Bears are looking long-term, they're saying to themselves, hey, man, let's run, again, with the offense we're running now. But again, the problem is it sucks. Like, Dan Orlovsky breaks down every weekend. Guys running same routes, tight end not running out on a route, like those back-to-back screen things the other day. It's not a well-called offense, but the idea of going back to this Fields offense that really will help them survive, I guess. They're getting fired either way, right? Like, I get his frustration. I get what he's saying, but sometimes simplifying things doesn't lead to the end result. Like, sometimes you have to find a way to make it work in between it being oversimplified and kind of, or too overloaded and then oversimplified, right? So, kind of interesting, but they're in a bad place. Their defensive coordinator quit. There's lots of rumors about why. You can go to Reddit and the depths of Twitter to find out. I don't have the answers for you there. McAfee reported something. If McAfee's right, good, I guess. But if he's wrong, not good. It's the only person who's reported that so far, besides a random Twitter account. So, the play is nothing here. Now we're gonna one of my picks for the vaulted pool will be on this game, but it won't be if the Chiefs cover or not. It's just stay away from me. I can see the Chiefs using it as a get right game. Offensively, haven't been very good. That's my take on this game. Just waste of our time to bet on it.
Yeah, well said on all the above. You mentioned there's one thing you said where you were like, well, they could go back to the Fields offense and they would survive. Well, reminder, Justin Fields has the worst winning percentage of any starting quarterback in the NFL. And by the way, he's going against the one with the best, Patrick Mahomes. So maybe not a perfect matchup for the Bears. So it's like, if their choices are try to adjust the offense to something he's not getting, or go back to an offense that was proven out to be like the worst possible option. Like, they were I think they came in the season, he was 5-20 as a starter. So he's 5-22 or something like that now. It's not great. And I will, the overloading thing I think is a fair point, but I don't know if you saw this last week when they were backed up at their own like goal line, basically.
Yeah.
And they called a screenplay and they called it 3 times in a row. And was it Levante David or Shaq Barrett? Yeah. One of the Bucks was like, we saw it coming. They called the same play 3 times and they scored a pick 6 off of it. And it's just like, whose fault? Like, Fields should have made the throw. A few people have made that argument, but it's like, what's he supposed to do there?
Well, I know, but here's the thing too. He started almost 2 seasons now. If he was that good, he'd be that good, right? Like, he'd be better now. So, like, all things are true. I think he's not as good as people want him to be. He's being overloaded with too much. There's bad play calling and bad players. Those are all true things. That makes them, to your point, maybe they take the Commanders' crown of worst organization in the NFL. I think we've spent, Matt, too much time now on the Bears. Let's get to.
It's a big topic this week.
We got 3 games left. 2 of them I think we'll have takes on. The final game of the week we will not because of injuries. Let's talk about this game right now. Raiders, Steelers.
Yeah, the Raiders. I think this opened at the Steelers maybe being favored, and now it's down to 2.5. There's actually some plus, some -3s out there. The money has just been pouring in on. Yeah, the Steelers open as a favorite. The money's been pouring in on the Raiders.
Why?
Why is the money pouring in on the Raiders?
I don't have any idea.
It's a great question.
What are we doing here? I get the Steelers' offense has not been great. The Raiders' offense sucks too. Like, what?
Yeah, it's really bad.
The Raiders have scored 27 points. They've scored against the Broncos. They've scored 2 touchdowns. And then 1 against the Bills. And the Steelers, I believe, have scored 2 offensive touchdowns and 2 defensive touchdowns. The Steelers have a better defense. Like, they have the better roster. And what are we doing here? Like, to me, take the Steelers in the points anytime possible. Right?
Again, it feels a little too easy. It really does. I mean, this is a stat I found really interesting. Teams that open as dog and end up as favorites have covered 35% of the time since 2018. Pretty interesting. This is, obviously Tomlin. We say this. I feel like we pick the Steelers every week because they're underdogs every week, and Mike Tomlin's the best coach in NFL history as an underdog. So we've still got that going for us. The Raiders have been able to pass the ball pretty well. It looks like Jacoby Myers is probably coming back. Devontae Adams got that crazy hit from Taylor Rapp last week, so it seems like he's going to play, but he was in the protocol this week, so who knows? They haven't been able to run the ball at all, which is crazy. Josh Jacobs his production has been absolutely terrible. It doesn't feel like it's going to get any better this week. It's two sketchy offenses. Garoppolo's probably the steadier quarterback, but I feel like just getting the points with Pittsburgh, how do you not take this? If I don't get it. I get the Republic dog. I get that the smart guys are all over the Raiders, but it just seems I can't wrap my head around it.
I can't either. I'm putting Pittsburgh in the maybes. I might put them in Sharpie right now.
Okay.
It doesn't make sense to me. All right, the next game is one we're just going to have to, I think, be a public Joe square in this one. But go ahead.
Interesting. Okay, so it's Philly. Right now, they're going to Tampa. Right now, they're laying 4.5 to 5 over the Bucks.
Why?
Go ahead.
Why? Why?
Who's the why?
Why is Tampa getting the money this week? This game opened at 7. It's now 4.5. Yeah. What are we doing? Eagles are off a rest. They have a long break. They won 2 football games. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, they've covered 2 football games, right? Well, I guess they pushed week 1 or pushed last weekend, right? Last Thursday, the Vikings, depending on what number you got. They covered against the Patriots. The Bucs have beaten a Vikings team that caught by surprise in week 1, and the Bears. Like, where are the Bucs better than the Eagles right now? The answer is nowhere. Now, that doesn't always mean you win and cover the game. But, to me, this is like Eagles win this game 38-21. Like, what are we doing here, Matt? I'm shocked by this number. I'd gladly be like public Joe here and take the Eagles minus the 4.5. I have no problem with it. I don't get it.
Dude, I'm with you. I looked at this line and was like, so what exactly are we believing in here? We're believing in Baker Mayfield after 2 weeks. There's some issues. I mean, the reason that people I think are on the Bucs this week is the injury report for Philly, right? Like, just a lot of people banged up, especially in the secondary where Mike Evans is still Mike Evans. Chris Godwin is still Chris Godwin. Like, they've had a really good season so far. But same on the Tampa side. Carlton Davis, he was limited in practice. Like, let's see him. You just know. You know what? Actually, I'm wondering if I'll look this up while we're talking. This is the AJ Brown week. AJ Brown hasn't done a thing this whole season so far. He was getting into it with Jalen Hurts, who was his best friend on the sidelines last week. This is the week where they're just going to be like, you know what, AJ, here's 3 touchdowns. I completely guarantee that that's going to happen this week. He's going to go crazy. I'm with you. I think Philly, you said it. They hung the 7. Everyone came in on the Bucs. I think that the books are very happy to keep moving this number down and see if people are still going to bet on Tampa, because I do feel like Baker Mayfield against this defensive line with no rushing attack is not going to be pretty. Like, he's not going to have time to sit back there and throw like he did against the Bears defense. Like, it's just going to be a bit different. And Philly, I get that they have some issues with health at running back and in the secondary, but I feel like this is a great matchup for them. You mentioned the extra time. It almost feels like we're buying Philly low. It's like no one believes in Philly and everyone believes in the Bucs. Like, what's going on here?
I don't get it. I don't get it whatsoever. So I'm going with Philly here. The last game, is Joe Burrow playing or not? You can't bet on this game.
Yeah, we don't know yet. So right now the line's 2.5, which I think assumes that Burrow is not playing or is limited.
Yeah,
this seems like a little bit of a hedge. So if this opened at 7.5, that might have been a while ago. And yeah, about half the money on each side. So we're not able to take this. We can save the listeners some time here.
Yeah. So we have 7 maybes. You ready?
Yeah.
And we're going to store all these, by the way, in the VLTED app. Make sure to check that out. Minnesota Pick'em is in, right? We're in a Minnesota.
Okay, Minnesota.
Or are we in a Minnesota or not?
Well, can you read them all? I want to make. Okay. I want to make sure we
Minnesota
have
Pick'em.
right.
New England -2.5. Green Bay -2. Denver +6.5. Washington +6.5. Pittsburgh +2.5. Philly -4.5. New England's
all right, well,
yes,
what do we
right?
feel best about? I think New England's a yes. I think Philly's a yes.
Philly, and I like Pittsburgh. Right?
Yeah, I'm with you there.
New England, Philly, Pittsburgh. So then we have the Denver. The Denver game is absolutely the right play, isn't it? It has to be. It's the right play, isn't it?
So we're deciding between. Are we deciding between Minnesota, Washington, and Denver? Is that
no,
we
Minnesota,
need two? Is that
Green
what we're
Bay,
saying?
Denver, Washington. We have 2 picks: Minnesota, Green Bay, Denver, Washington.
Green Bay was
I'm okay with throwing out Green Bay. I can throw out Green Bay. That's fine.
You always say like I'll trust you when you have a feeling. Like I trust you if you have a feeling.
Yeah, but let's see. We faded the Saints week 1. We covered. I don't know. They're 1-1 covering. The injury stuff for Green Bay worries me though. If they don't have Watson or Bakhtiari or Jones, it's a different team, right?
Yeah. Let's.
Which one of these do you like?
Minnesota feels like the right side, but it also we'll have regrets. I feel like we'll regret that game if we bet it or don't bet it. Denver is like, you got to keep me honest on Washington. I feel like Denver is, again, it's like the smart play, but I kind of feel like we can pick one of those two. But pick one. I think I'm fine with either.
Oh, between which one? Denver and Washington as the dog?
Yeah.
Oh boy, buddy. You're I don't know. I mean, all the sharp people bet Buffalo. It's weird.
Yeah. That one seems our producer Nick owes me $20 for a lunch at Gwyneth Paltrow's salad place from last week, and I've requested that he put this on Washington, and we keep waiting for the 7, and it's not coming. So I think I'm very happy to ride this one solo.
Yeah, let's do. I would be upset with myself if I didn't take Denver here. I know that feels weird to say, but this is the most perfect NFL thing, right? The Denver's 0-2. They suck. They stink. Everyone doesn't think by Russell Wilson. They go to Miami, who's the darling of the league right now. And that game is 27-23, right?
It's the responsible play. It's very responsible. So
I like the Packers. Oh. You know what worries me though is like when Chris Raybon's on the Saints. I'm like, nope, can't do it.
I know. He was all over that. What side is he on with? I'm sure he's laying out. I feel like none of the sharp guys are betting Minnesota or the Chargers.
I know we should make a decision based on that solely, but I do respect Raybon, and when I see he's on a pick and I'm on the other side, he's one of those guys where I'm like, oh, fuck. I can't be on the other side of Raybon.
All right, so we're deciding between Minnesota and Washington for our last one. Is that what's happening?
I think so. Yeah.
All right, so which one do you feel better about coming in on Monday and Gabe being like, you guys went 2-3 again? Like, what went wrong?
I could totally see like the Bills just kicking the Commanders' butt versus like the Chargers. Like, come on. Like, it's Brandon Staley on the road
Chargers
again.
Not Eckler. Yeah.
No Eckler. The Vikings aren't really. The Vikings have had they're like -7 in turnovers.
Yeah, Minnesota's due for a little positive regression here.
Yes, they've lost two close games. Okay, so Minnesota pick 'em. New England minus 2.5. Denver plus 6.5. I like that pick. I know I hate myself for saying that. Pitt plus 2.5. I just don't get that line. And Philly minus the 4.5.
Yep. And by the way, guys, AJ Brown, 68.5 yards, thanks, Nick, is his over-under, and plus 130 anytime TD. I'm hitting both. I love it. I think he's going to have a huge week.
I'm gonna put that in my prize picks for this week. For earlier this
week. The prize picks line, they have over 5. Man, I still haven't signed up for prize picks with our promo code, and I'm going to.
Why not?
I'm going to because I'm going to do it while I'm going to do it.
I actually think I didn't sign up with it either. I think I already had a prize pick account. I should have started another account with my name.
I'm doing it. We have so many great partners. I'm excited to sign up for prize picks. 5.5. All right. Why don't we take our break? I have one thing I want to run by you before we get to our pool. And let's do that right after this. All right.
All right, Matt.
All right, Geoff. I have something I want to run by you. So, I don't know if you're a big consumer of morning television, but there's a lot of talk. There's a lot of talk about this game that you're going to be watching on Saturday, tomorrow, and there was this moment that I can't stop thinking about, and it's basically just it's what Mad Dog was saying he was going to do during the games tomorrow. And it reminded me so much of like what my dream day sort of looks like. And I felt like you're not this exact kind of person, but I don't know if you've seen this clip yet. I just sort of wanted to get your reaction to how Mad Dog, the legendary New York sports broadcaster, is going to spend his Saturday watching the Ducks and the Buff play. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
Here's what I'm doing this weekend. At about 12 o'clock, sit down. Make an early cocktail. Cut a gummy in half.
What's a gummy?
At about 3:25, when I'm sauced, I'm not driving in the house, 3:25, I'll put the call in to Fat Rob, 718-504. I'll put the call in to Fat Rob. Rob, you know what? What the hell? I can't root for Oregon. All right, I'll pretend on TV. Put 10 dimes on Colorado. It's probably Colorado and Dion. Let's win a game. So by 3:25, I'll be sitting down with my shorts, little T-shirt, cocktail. I'll have the other half a gummy.
Oh, you save it for later?
I'll have half and
I
half.
thought you were just rationing it.
I will bet the ranch, and I will root crazy for the Buff on Saturday afternoon.
Marcus Spears' reaction to that was unbelievably funny. So Russo's going to have a cocktail.
He's going to gummy. He's going to have a cocktail. He's going to have half a gummy. Then he's going to bet $10,000 on Colorado. Then he's going to have the other half a gummy, and then he's going to enjoy the Colorado game. And I just thought to myself, like, you know what? That just sounds like a perfect Saturday. Good for Mad Dog. We're 24 hours away from that happening in his life, and I just wish him the best. Like, it's just going to be a great little Saturday for Mad Dog.
I love that he still has a bookie that he called out by name and gave his phone number.
He started dialing his phone number
for his bookie. He's going to give him 10 dimes.
504. Up, and then he cuts himself off. He's like, "Wait, I shouldn't have this guy's phone number. I'm admitting to taking drugs on national television. Maybe I shouldn't give this my bookie's phone number."
Sports wagering is legal in New York. You could just go to
correct and in Connecticut, I think, where he lives,
Caesars, wherever he's at, and wager $10,000 this game. Oh my God, I'm not getting sauce this Saturday, guys. Thanks for the headline, Nick. I appreciate that. What
I take half a gummy, then
what a life.
I get sauce. I bet the ranch on Colorado.
He's gonna lose a lot of money. you have to. The thing about wagering too is you have to be comfortable losing all that money. He's going to bet 10 dimes on their money line or just plus 21. That was not in there.
I don't know, man. It's not. It's a donation to a great casino either, or excuse me, to Fat Rob either way. I just love Swagoo there with that reaction.
Even what does Fat Rob look like?
Steven's just like.
What does Fat Rob look like?
I think he looks rich. Is what is my guess on if he's Mad Dog's bookie taking
is he
10K in a vig.
Is he ironically Big Rob or is he fat?
Oh, that's a great question. Like when they call, like if someone would be like, if one of our nicknames was Skinny, they'd be like, yeah.
Oh God, what a great clip. What Stephen A. couldn't believe it. Marcus was
Stephen A. just staring blankly. I've turned into I'm in on 100% of whatever is fed to me of Mad Dog clips. Like ESPN does this First Take does a segment, I think every Friday, of like what's Mad Dog mad about, and he gets like this close to the camera, and Stephen A. and like whoever else is on the show just like stand behind him, and he just cooks. And it's like he can just do 4 minutes on like the Yankees middle relievers. Like, can you believe it? They pulled him out of the game, and I lost $20,000. And it's mayhem. And they'll shoot from the side, and like he'll be squatting, and you'll just like see him like this, like literally just like in the camera. It's incredible. He's perfect.
Him and Francesa in the heyday must have been great to listen to.
I know. I didn't really know about them until I moved to. Well, I've really started working in sports, and it's like then you already missed it in the New York heyday. But
I know my like a bunch of bosses at Sirius were WFN during that time, so it's fun to hear them talking about. All right, let's get to our vaulted pool that we like here.
Let's do it.
20 picks for the week in the pool. Go to the VLTED app, VLTED. Promo code Geoff. That's my name. If you listen to this podcast, I hope you know by now. It's Geoff with a G, Geoff. Let's talk about the ones I caught my attention right here. So I did put down the Bills covering against the Commanders, covering 6.5. He's not one of our 5 wagers, but I think I'm disagreeing with that one. Like I think I'm going with the Commanders.
Let's go head to head.
Plus the 6.5.
Okay.
Well, no.
I talked you into it.
You want me to take the Bills, or you want to take? I'll take the Bills. You take the Commanders. Let's do that. Let's have fun with that. I'm fine with that. We have a little challenge right now. A challenge in the pool. I love it. I'm fine with that. The other one, I have a couple more here. Mahomes throws for more than 267.5 yards against the Bears. I'm going with agree here. At some point, Mahomes is going to break out. I think it's against this Bears defense. There has to be a game, feels like this weekend, where they're going to try to get the pass game going early and often. There's opportunities there. They haven't connected. Travis Kelce's 1 week healthier. I just can't imagine that Mahomes continues to sort of have these games where it's kind of broad, but he did throw for 305 yards last weekend. So it wasn't like the worst game of his career last week, even though the offense wasn't very good. There's also something about the Bears. Like they did not draft him. He still holds a grudge. So I agree with that. 267 yards, 267.5 yards more. I will agree with that one. What say you, Matt?
Okay, fair enough. I'm just punching in my disagree with the Buffalo Bills covering. 10 points. Let's fly. I wish my AJ Brown thing was in here, but I will say there was one number I really did like that I had teed up, but now I don't. It's interesting. There's so many receiving ones. I think the Cardinals team total under 15.5 is a good one. If you wanted to take if you believe that Dallas is just going to run away with this one, I happen to have James Conner in a lot of my fantasy leagues, and I'm just benching here this week. They're never going to run the ball.
One of the pool questions is Cardinals will score more than 15.5 points under there. I like in this game too. I have here one of the ones I highlighted in the pool. Again, go to VLTED app and join my pool. Josh Dobbs will rush for more yards than he will throw completions. Absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah, like he'll rush for 25 yards, not completing the ball. Like when you have a pass rush like the Cowboys, he's gonna want to rush the passer. And then he's gonna run. Like he's gonna have opportunities to run when they don't get home on him. And remember, sacks don't count against rushing yards. he's not going to complete a lot of passes. I think this is, he rushes the ball for 22 yards. He's going to complete the ball 22 times in this game? I don't think.
Doesn't seem right.
Doesn't seem right.
Man, these are really fun ones. These head-to-head quarterback ones are fun. Like Kirk Cousins having more yards than Herbert, I think is a really fun question.
I put in here, Vikings beat the Chargers. Agree.
Yeah, that's a 10 for me. I just notched that as a 10, 100%. I think that's, if we got to go put our money where our mouth is.
Absolutely. The last one I think is interesting here is Deshaun Watson will throw for more passing yards than Ryan Tannehill. I mean, that's a yes, right? Agree? How can?
Yeah, I think so.
Right? I think it has to be.
Yep.
So, all right. Those are our vaulted pool plays that we like for this week. Remember, go to the vaulted app, promo code Geoff, and join the pool, Geoff with a G. It's a lot of fun. People rolling in already. Remember, it's free to join and you win money. Matt, it seems like something very easy to do to win yourself a little bit of cash if you're able to beat me and win the pool for the week. Then you qualify for the big game entry, which is $5,000 pool for that final game of the year. All right, everyone. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. We will be back on Monday. It will be during Yom Kippur. I will be hangry because I'll be tired and I'll be hungry and I will not have any water. Hopefully it goes well for me, so I'm not even angrier at Gabe than I am on some Mondays. And have a great weekend of watching sports. Go Ducks. Take care, everyone.